Yeah, we're live.
Hello and welcome to Climbing Daily and the World Cup Couch. This is day 2 of this live show, and as you can see, I have 2 very distinguished guests with me today, Fanny Gibert and Nika Potapova. Now, woo, yeah, let's give it a clap.
Hello.
We've got more of an audience. This is getting bigger and bigger. Now, ladies, look, the reason you're here is obviously, Fanny, you climbed in yesterday's semi-finals, and Nika, you commentated with me on the semi-finals.
Yeah.
So, first of all, Fanny, like, amazing competition. I know it wasn't just you, but like, I just wanted to say thank you for all of the women for putting on an amazing show for me and Nika, because we had a great time up there. We were dancing as much as watching climbing, I will be honest. Fanny, how did it go? Because you're just outside of finals.
Yeah, I want to say thank you also because it was great to climb. Yeah, really, the atmosphere was so nice, and the boulders, like, yeah, a really, really good round, like hard boulders and different style and everything really demanding. Yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot, even if it's not enough for me for finals.
Oh, you were so close though. It was amazing, and it was great to see you in the finals this year as well. What was it like being back in the finals?
It was meaningful for me to be back, and it didn't go as good as I wanted, but yeah, it was really good, and I had 2 really good rounds in qualification and semi-final in Salt Lake City. Yeah, so it was definitely some good memories.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say, before we move on to Nika, because I want to talk about you in a sec, if you guys are watching this have any questions, Hugo is behind the computer working very hard, and he will tell us the questions. So you have a chance of 2 World Cup athletes in front of you. Ask them anything they want. They might refuse to tell you, but we'll see. Now, Nika, you were in the commentary box for the first time. Yeah. A little bit nervous at the beginning, right?
Yeah, definitely, because it was first time, a new experience for me. But then it went like chill, and we had nice dance in the box, so I don't know, it was cool.
I just kept typing dad dancing and pointing at Nika, because like, she thinks she's cool, but she had some terrible moves out there, awful.
As you.
My moves were amazing, what are you talking about? I was brilliant. Now, Nika, what was it for you? Like, because obviously you've competed in competitions. When you have to speak about other people climbing, it's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely different, but as I said, it's something new for me, which I wanted to try, and I just went to your like box and was commentating with you. It's also quite worrying for like people watching, people who's climbing. You're like inside, like, come on, you can do this.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. And Nika said before you climbed on the final slab, she was like, Fanny's good at slabs. Yeah. She's a French team member. They're excellent at that. And then, thank goodness, you went and sent it. For people who are watching, the slab was hideous. It was a horrible, pressy mantle thing. But you did it with a few attempts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there was a little bit of panic because I struggled with the beginning parts, and I was really trying to use my feet, and it was more on the upper part of the body. And yeah, it's always hard to know you're good at something, and then you're in front of this boulder and you have to do it, and it's always
because the pressure. Because if you're like a slab expert and you've got a slab, you kind of got to send that thing.
Yeah. No, yeah. And so it felt really nice to send it after struggling with the beginning.
Yeah. And
yeah, it's always tricky to find the solution, and when you find it, it's like, yeah.
And what's your style? Because it's one of those things I always say, I'm like, oh, someone will prefer this, like Miho might like a powerful boulder. What is your style? If you could pick a boulder to climb, what would it be?
Well, I don't know. And sometimes in training, we try to set a boulder that fits you better and try to make the other one fail. And for me, it's always hard because I don't know. I know I like something really different from the other one, but it's hard to define it. I think I'm really flexible, and in a very kind of weird way, like active flexibility. And this helped me a lot in some moves, but it can be any move. Like, it can be in a roof, it can be in a slab.
Okay.
And yeah, I like friction also.
Are you from Fontainebleau climbing? I mean, you're French.
I don't know if it's from Fontainebleau, but yeah, I love friction.
Nika, I wanted to talk about Ukraine climbing team a little bit, because obviously we know what's going on in your country, and you and everyone is in a situation where you've left the country, you're training in different places. Just tell us a bit about your life at the moment. What's it like?
It's a bit upside down. Like, I never expected that I will live in Germany or like trying to be there like for like a long period. Anyway, I was like planning in some years to move to Austria or Germany, like here maybe, to Innsbruck. But it happens like quickly. So yeah, we're just getting used to new things, new rules, new culture, and yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and there's a huge amount of pride for Ukraine, obviously. The atmosphere within the team, and I know you're away from the team sometimes, but tell me about how important it is for Ukraine to be climbing on such a big stage.
We're like, as I said, we have a new things which we have to get used to, and it's really cool that our team can still compete. And we have strong people, especially speed climbers, which had some medals a couple of days ago on the European Cup. And I really hope we will have stronger and stronger team. And I'm really proud to be Ukrainian because, I don't know, our people are just like fighting till the end. And yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, and thank you for everything you guys are doing. Now, we're in Innsbruck, and this is the point where we move from the boulder season into the lead season. And I know Nika's going to be very happy about that.
Yeah.
But Fanny, are you going to be competing in lead as well this year?
No, sadly I will not, because I have some finger injury, and so I couldn't train properly in lead. So bouldering was okay, but now I plan to rest and prepare for the rest of the season, and when I get ready I will be back for lead.
Are you going for Olympic qualification in Bern?
Of course, but yeah, I
So you
still
having to do some lead training then?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure, and I'm preparing for lead, but just bad timing, and this time is not possible, but yeah, for sure I'm training lead, and hopefully I'll be in Bern.
Okay, awesome. And Nika, for you, this is like your season's starting now, like you finally get to tie a rope on.
Finally, yes.
Are you excited?
Yeah, definitely. I was trained, also had some back problems, but trying to not push hard, but still keep training. And I'm really happy that I will start lead season, and it starts in a couple of days, so we'll see.
How's the endurance training going?
The injuries.
Yeah, endurance.
Endurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, could be better, definitely.
Okay.
But we'll figure it out somehow.
Endurance training is my least favourite thing in the world to do, ever. I hate it. Horrible. But like, how do you do it? For people watching at home, if you're like a little bit weak on some things, if you got a pro tip for getting better endurance? Maybe starting with Nika, what would it be?
I don't know, just climb a lot, maybe start from easy routes to do like a big volume of endurance, and then going higher like on the harder grades. Yeah.
Okay, and Fanny, do you, because that changed, because everyone talks about the fact that bouldering is physical and then, lead is more endurance based. It must be difficult to balance the two things, even though they're becoming a bit closer together now. We're seeing more bouldery lead routes and longer boulders, if that makes sense. But do you have to change your training to get ready for that, or do you merge it?
Yeah, you have to change it, but both the training can help one discipline and the other one. And the main thing that changes you have to deal with the long routes and not giving it all at the beginning, and especially in combine when you're doing bouldering and then lead. It's so hard to not put so many strengths in the beginning of the route, and otherwise you will get pumped super fast. Yeah. So yeah, there's two things to take care of to switch in between boulder.
So you can't like boulder style lock off a hole for everything it's worth and just crank through.
Holding everything super hard, like you have to relax. And
I can't. It scares me. It really does. Outdoor climbing. Because we're at the Black Diamond showroom. We've got lots of lovely cams and quick draws and everything surrounding us. Fanny, I don't know about your outdoor climbing. I genuinely don't. Like, do you climb outdoors? Have you got any projects?
I climb outdoor, but mainly in Fontainebleau. Okay. Like I've done some.
I told you friction, right?
Yeah. Friction. But you can find friction in other places. Like I've been in Spain in a new spot, really nice. But yeah, mainly bouldering and some lead in in France, but yeah, I didn't find time enough to make a proper big trip of sports climbing outside.
Whereas Nika, you've climbed 9A outdoors.
Yeah.
You've been in Spain all through the winter, or some of the winter anyway. So talk to me
In
about
autumn.
your project. In
Yeah,
autumn.
yeah,
So
a bit.
have you got a project going on at the moment? How's it going?
Yeah, I have a 9A a project, and I was super close to send it, and I was a bit mentally tired after the season, so I'll be back this autumn, and also planning to try like a 9A plus. So we'll see.
9A plus. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're stepping it up
Yeah.
again. What's your limit? Do you think? Like, do you not think about it like that? Are you like, one day I'll get to 9B, 9B plus? Or is it?
I tried already 9B.
No way. Which one?
La Planta de Chuva,
Okay.
and I did all the moves.
Okay.
So I need a huge endurance for this route, and I would like to be back on this route again. It's really long, like 50 meters, and you should be like incredibly have strong power endurance.
Yeah.
But I know this route is possible to do for sure. I tried only like a few days, and yeah. So this is my the plan a little bit on the future. I just need to find the right time to come on this route and to prepare.
Oh, that's cool. I want to see you climb 9B. That would be awesome. And Fanny, for you, once this competition thing finishes, right? And I'm not saying you retire. I'm not saying that. But everyone at some point has to stop comp climbing. Are you excited for the next step with climbing? Because you'll have maybe a bit more time to climb outdoors. You can really push that grade. Does that excite you, or are you not really even thinking about it?
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking about it, and I have so many friends doing this, and yeah, I think I will for sure try some really hard project and have time to really push the limit. And this is really another excitement about performance, like different from comp, but yeah, the same spirit of pushing the limits. And also, I would like to spend time on a trip far and discover other country and have time to really discover a country and not just doing a stage of World Cup and going back training.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
well, I can't wait to see that. Hugo, we got any questions coming through for the ladies, or nothing yet?
Martin Lopez asks, how many times do you train a week?
Oh, good question. All right, so for anyone who didn't pick up on the audio, how many times do you guys train a week? And let's talk days and hours here, okay?
Yeah, because it's hard.
It's hard to...
For me, it's like maybe 2 days of rest, and the other days 1 or 2 trainings a day. And depending of the period, it's like 20 hours of training or less.
A week?
Yeah, a week, like for the big period.
But hang on, so you take 2 days off.
Yeah.
So maybe you're climbing what, like 4 days a week or 3 days a week?
5.
5. Okay, so you full on 5 days. Oh wow, that's a lot. Okay, Nika, how often do you train?
So usually, like right now, the period I train like 5 days a week, and 4 days of climbing and 1 day of like exercises, like 1 hour, 1.5, like hard ones for like stabilization and like all of the body, and 2 days of rest during the week. So yeah, and I'm switching sometimes, so picking some days, as I want.
Okay, well there you go. A lot, basically, is the answer to that one. Lots and lots and lots. Any more, or are we good for now?
Joe Gibson asks, how is training in the French team? Has there been any changes this season that has had so many French finalists?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. What are you guys drinking, eating? Like, it's insane. It's
La
ridiculous.
potion magique. La potion magique.
Is it just cheese and wine? I hope it's cheese and wine. Tell me it's cheese and wine.
No,
Ah.
I think it's just like the whole year before was paying off, and I think there is this emulation in between the people, and so many young athletes crushing. And
Well, Flavie, incredible. Her first finals, and she wins a medal.
yeah,
What was...
that was so inspiring.
It was crazy. I mean, she's not here, so we can't talk for her. But what was the reaction in the French team when she came off the stage?
I was not in Prague. I was so disappointed not being there in real life, but I was behind my screen, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, in France, she's really known for coordination skills, and there it was like, wow, she did it like every attempt, bam, bam, bam. And she makes so many improvement in slab climbing, and when it's pay off in the final of Bouldering World Cup, it's wow, so cool.
It was amazing when Oriane, we're talking about Oriane winning her first World Cup in Prague. It was crazy. Like she didn't stop crying, I don't think, from the second on. It was, and our camera kept flicking to her because she sat there and you could see you could literally watch her process it.
Yeah.
You know, at first she was like, it was disbelief, and then it started to sink in, and she got emotional and she looked out, and it was everything, wasn't there? It was wonderful to see.
Yeah, I think Oriane have this thing, like you can see everything she feel, and she's so demonstration, like and it's so cool to realize how intense it was for her. Yeah, it was so nice.
Awesome. Well, look, I don't quite. We've got
one more question. It's a good one.
Yes, go on.
What are the typical grades of boulders in women's semi-finalists and finals?
Right. So grades of boulders and we have got a route setter coming in, so he might be able to answer it better. Yeah. But the basics is it's really difficult, isn't it, to put a number on these climbs? It's so hard, and especially for me, when I climb inside, I don't think about the grade. Like I just climbing hard boulders or color. I can say it's purple or it's red, it's black. Okay. But a grade, it doesn't make sense. But then to give people an idea, for example, Nika, you were saying to me yesterday that you were like, when you're in the Klettercentrum gym, you're climbing like 8B, you're trying 8Cs. So that's your training level, right? Yeah. Okay. So a World Cup route's harder than the training or easier than the training?
Depends which round.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in qualis, I guess it's like 8A plus maybe. Or so. Okay. But also, I'm not thinking a lot about grades. You just climbing, coming and climbing. That's it. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I know we've got Colin Duffy coming, but I'm not sure if he's turned up yet. Oh, we got gear next. Right, okay. Ladies, I know you're busy. We'll say goodbye to you. Fanny, thank you for being awesome as always. Thank you. And Nika, thanks for keeping me company, because I think I would have gone mad last night without you, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. Big round of applause. Thank you, ladies. I'll say those. Have a good day. Thank you. Oh, I wasn't going for the handshake. I was going for the microphone, but I like the handshake. All right, goodbye, Fanny. See you later. See you, Nika. Thank you. All right, backpack talk now. Because earlier on, we did a gear show about this backpack. That'll be coming to Climbing Daily on the Friday gear show very soon. But, I think I've just flicked a switch, Hugo. Did I flick a switch? No, you're good. I'm good? Flicking my switch. Was the switch on before? Did I flick it the right way? Loic, come in and join me. How you doing, man? Hi. Ooh, good. Thank you. All right, Loic, I'm going to give you this. So you've now got to demonstrate products and hold a microphone, which I appreciate is a nightmare. I need 4 hands. Yeah. You need at least 4 hands. Now, backpacks. I love a backpack. If people know me, that I have a gear cupboard, right? And half of it is equipment, and literally half of it is backpacks. They're stacked up underneath the thing. Yeah, backpacks are awesome. Some people have many shoes. Some people have many backpacks. It's addictive. It's truly addictive. That's true. So new range. I mean, I was telling you actually that my favourite ever Black Diamond backpack was an old version of the Speed backpack. Favourite backpack ever. So I'm very into Black Diamond packs. What have you got with you today to show us? So I have a pretty big backpack, but actually almost the same weight as this tiny backpack here. This is a trail running backpack. It's our distance 8. And I brought this back because we have made the Beta Light pack for summer 24 for next year, and it's inspired with the carrying system from a trail running vest. So you see, like, you have all the pockets in the front, but the way we've made it is we've used this super very resistant and lightweight material. It's a Dyneema polyester fiber fabric. It's this backpack is around 500 grams for 45 liters. That's light. So that's pretty light. Yeah. So it was originally designed for those really long, fast packing mission, Tour du Mont Blanc or some big traverse, but it could also be used as a climbing pack when you do those long approaches to go through multi-pitch routes and you want to throw your rope and you have a lot of gear, but you have a long approach. You have a super light and very robust backpack. I think the light thing is interesting because for me, when I first got into this climbing world, I was like, the weight of my backpack doesn't make any difference, in my head. And then I had a heavy backpack and I was like, I hate this thing because it's heavy.
having a light pack, it just makes everything easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everything we design also at BD for big mountaineering like approach, you know, like the ultralight Camelots we've designed in the past. I mean, just makes your adventure just more enjoyable overall. And just having a 400 or 500 grams backpack, then you can just move faster and just enjoy the adventure just much better. But I think what is really truly amazing also with this backpack is just so durable and very good against abrasion, and you will probably keep this backpack for a very, very long time.
Can I ask you something, and you might not know the answer to this? How do brands work out litres of backpack? Because it seems to be a magic number that's almost pulled out of the air. Like sometimes a 35 pack from one brand will feel bigger or smaller than the other. Do you literally pour water into the thing? I mean,
no, it's not water. Like it's like a little balls.
Okay.
Like you fill up all the pockets and you arrive to like a total number.
Okay.
But it always feels different. Like when you have this kind of tunnel pocket, it always feels really big when compared like to a ski pack, which has different compartments, and it feels of course a lot smaller. So this one is a roll top, so the 45 liters looks actually really big because you can also go over the shoulder height of
so sometimes with backpacks the literage is worked out per pocket almost. So if you've got like 3 pockets of different sizes, they could say, oh, it's 45 liters, but in reality you've got a 20 and a 10 and a...
Exactly.
Oh, thank goodness. All right, that's been annoying me for years. Thank you. All right. The things I like about that, just I haven't worn it, obviously, because it's not out yet. But I like the water slots, or whatever slots they are, on the outside. Because I am one of those people, you know how like you see the cool mountain guides and they have nothing on the outside of their backpack and they look all like sleek? I'm not that. I've got stuff hanging off it, like there's cams dangling, it's terrible. And I like a side pocket because you can shove a water into it, waterproof, something like that. Yeah. And presumably that's why you put it into this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also a backpack we've made also for overnight mission. So we made them big enough that you can just either put like a down jacket, like if you want to just get dressed on the way, or even like pull like a little tent or shelter for overnight mission, or like you can slide like a little mattress on the side. And on the back, here we have like a mesh pocket. You can even slide a helmet.
Oh, it's a big pocket.
Yeah, it's a big pocket, and
so
it's very stretchy. Huh. And there's this little, we call it like a satellite pack. It's 4 liters. It's sold separately from the backpack, but you can just use it with any other backpack that exists, and you can just take it away, store your poles. You can just strip down also the hip belt, and with the hip belt, use the hip belt to just carry that little satellite pack if you just want to go for the summit push, for example.
That's very cool. And when can we get our hands on this?
So this will be released next summer, in March 24.
You guys keep doing this to me. I turn off the Back Diamond showroom, you show me amazing products and you're like, you can't get your hands on it yet. It's like increases the anticipation, which I quite
like to tease people.
You do like to tease people, yeah, you really do. If there are any questions as well for Loic, if you've got any gear-based questions, backpack-based questions, please send them in. I'm sure he'll be able to answer. Now, there was discussions going along behind the scenes.
Colin Duffy's coming at 4:15.
There we go. So Colin Duffy's coming at 4:15. So we've got a couple more minutes to talk about backpacks because I know we've got a route setter hopefully turning up as well. So if I can still annoy you about packs.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you find the gap in the market? Because, you know, I've got a million backpacks. There's always a million backpacks. Do you just look at sort of like, how do you decide like this is the pack? Because this is a new pack for a new kind of sport or a new type of it.
Yeah, new segment. I mean, at BD, I mean, we are like in the core climbing brand, so everything we design, even if it's like you say it's just a hiking pack, but climbing is not too far off in the way we design things. So the same way we designed our first trail running pack, it was for people like really trail running but also scrambling on ridges. There's always this climbing approach, and here it was really more for hiking adventure. So we always want to be fast, light, but always very resistant. So I think the way we design our packs we try that they last a very long time, and we try to always find the best materials for that.
Could I have a look at the blue one again? Because that's something people can buy. And the first thing I noticed, because I have a running backpack, okay? I don't know why, but I have one, genuinely. But it looks bigger than a normal running backpack. So for me, I'm just like, all right, so an easy, let's say like a PD Ridge or something, where I want to almost run it but safely, obviously.
Mhm.
But something like this, I can actually shove some things in it, which is useful. So this is kind of a running pack, but with a bit of a alpine climbing
Yes,
bent.
exactly. And you would see a lot of people actually hiking with trail running equipment just because it's light and comfortable. So you would see actually people doing this fast packing. So like they want to just bag many peaks in one push in one weekend, and they're gonna wear trail running shoes because they have good cushion, they are light, and the same with this with this pack. You know, you can just everything gets lighter, so you can stuff a very light down jacket, a light wind shell, some little food. You can actually go for a full day hike with that. It's just because it's just lighter.
Well, you
than
could shove a little
normal
rope in it even, you know, if you have like 50-metre rope for an abseil that might happen,
Exactly.
you could put, you know, airnet harness in here, for example.
Ice
that'll
axe
pack
fits.
slow. Ice axe fits as well.
Ice axe fits.
I'm selling your own backpack for you, I'm going to stop. Yes, Hugo, who's got a question.
Senior Blondie asks, is Black Diamond doing any R&D with futuristic hydration bladders for their packs?
Wow, so there's a question about futuristic hydration bladders. That sounds
Futuristic.
disgusting. What is a futuristic hydration bladder? Do you know what that is?
I'm not sure what it is.
Well, presumably it's that like plastic thing that slots in that fills with water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any
We are not developing bladders as per se, but we do have pockets where we can put the bladders
So you're not
in.
doing a camelback style system?
No.
Okay, so there's going to be no tube coming over.
Yeah, but I mean, on some of our packs, you can slide a bladder behind.
We've got to start saying the word
back panel.
bladder. I'm freaking myself out. I don't know why. It just sounds awful when we're saying it. Okay, cool. And then for me as well, generally with Black Diamond, because the apparel side of things, the clothes, the shoes, that's fairly new for you guys. Is that something you are pushing, actively pushing?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Something we are. As I said, we always had more climbing approach, so we were more a climbing apparel brand, and I think we had very popular climbing pants.
Yeah.
And overall, we really want to be more apparel mountain brand overall for all the sports we serve.
Yeah, and Christina is standing at the background.
Benny.
We've got Benny. All right. Loic, I need to say goodbye to you. Thank you so much for showing me the backpacks. Really appreciate it.
I'm taking the backpack.
You can take that one.
with
Can I
me.
steal this one? I'm going to just... it's so small, you won't notice.
Okay.
I'm going to give it
Thank
back.
you.
Thank you very much, Loic. Appreciate it. Big round of applause, please, for Loic. He has left me the backpack. Foolish man. I'm going to put this down here. All right, now we have a very, very special guest right now because Benny from Team Japan is going to join us on the World Cup couch. Benny, come and have a seat down here. That's for you, sir.
So, hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to see you, man. How are you doing? All right, let's talk about, first of all, the women's semi-final. Lots of Japanese athletes through. Busy night for you, I would imagine.
Yes, but I'm...
There we go, there we can hear you.
Yes, but yeah, I'm really happy because this season was for some of the athletes kind of up and down. And just as an example, Futaba Ito, because in the beginning of season, she has been in an amazing shape. And then Hachiyoshi, she got a little bit injured in warm-up, and Hachiyoshi and Seoul did not go that well. Then Salt Lake was good. Prague was, also really good. And then Brixton last weekend was kind of not so good. And then yesterday in the qualification, there was this question with if she gets the zone or not. And and I'm really happy that finally she could forget about all of this and just focus on semis, and she had an amazing semi-final. I'm so happy that she has a final at the end of a season.
It's awesome, man. And look, you guys got a very unique opportunity. This is coach for Team Japan. I mean, if you're into training or anything, this is your chance to ask him some questions, so do send them in. Now, I have a question about how on earth you guys pick your team. Because every World Cup, there seems to be new athletes. The depth of talent within the Japanese team is crazy. How do you decide who goes to World Cups?
Actually, it's pretty rigid. So if you want to make the team for the next season, you have to be in the top 10 of the world ranking. Otherwise, you have to go through the selection process. And selection process is decided by the federation, so not directly from us as coaches, but from a committee. And and in the end, it's the Japan Bouldering Cup or Lead Cup who decides who will go.
Okay.
And then we have the ranking, and then we will fill in the comps.
Now, Serato is ridiculously good. Like, I don't really know what else to say about him. He's like 16. He has the stickiest looking hands I've ever seen. And he goes up to a sloper and it's like straight onto the thing. Where did you find him? Where's he come from, and how is he so good?
Also, personally, I'm really good on pockets or crims, so I cannot tell you any secrets about slopers because I'm really bad at slopers myself.
Okay.
So for me, this is just amazing how he can hold these things.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I'm really curious how the lead World Cup will go because he's also pretty good in lead. So beginning of season, I thought that okay, bouldering season will be okay for him, like regular semifinal, something like that. So I'm positively surprised. So it's like amazing. So the season so far for him, and I hope he can continue also in the lead World Cups.
Well, he did 5 out of 5 boulders this morning in qualifying, and he's doing the lead World Cup here as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. It must be really nice to have such a range in the squad because you've got someone like Sorato who's 16, he's young, he's learning. Then someone like Miho Nanaka who's an Olympian, she's got all that experience. Do the athletes help each other out? Do they share information, or how does it work?
Actually, I really care about the team atmosphere because I think that's very valuable that the young ones can learn from the other ones, from the older ones. And of course, especially in the men, we have this kind of shift. So now we have Kokoro Fuji and Yoshiyuki and Tomoa, which are the kind of older part, and the young ones like Daiki, Sorato and Ritsu, who are pushing. So I think it's beneficial for both. So the older ones get kind of pushed to keep going, and the other ones, they can learn, and it's kind of interesting.
And Japanese climbing, because we've got a series of films out on Epic TV with Teresa where she was climbing. Well, you got to go and watch it out because they're super, super good videos. But the gyms especially, and that was the most recent video. I've never been shut down so hard in my life in a Japanese climbing wall. Like it's not so much the difficulty of the moves. It's the setting. It's different from what we get in Europe. And I can't really explain why, but how much do having gyms that good and that hard make a difference to bringing people into the elite?
Yeah, I think it's really important because, of course, for example, here in Europe, we have a great infrastructure of gyms. Actually, in the past from Japan, we came to Europe many times for winter training camps or something like that, because we have these huge gyms, which are good infrastructure, but then, of course, you need the hard setting just to train for, because you really need to become comfortable in uncomfortable position and uncomfortable moves.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. And then looking towards the future, we've got the Olympics coming up. Obviously, it's a focus for everyone, of course it is. How are you managing that whole experience? Because this year is pressurized. We've got the World Championships. What are you doing within the team to sort of just calm everyone down?
Yeah, I
or
think this
season
season is kind of special, I think, for everybody, because if you look at the Boulder World Cups, who skipped which kind of World Cup just to get a kind of gap where he can...
And winning an overall title was a big, big deal. And it feels like it's less important now. And I think that's kind of what you're saying, is because the athletes are picking and choosing, we don't get this... It's a bit like a Formula One season. If there wasn't an overall winner, it would feel strange. And yeah, I think I agree with you. We've lost that a bit because it's exciting to have a winner of the season.
Of course, and I think still there are not, of course it's still a fight. Also in our team, everybody's calculating like this and that. It's not like it's over. It's everybody is like really careful about the points and everything. So, and I just want to say that for next season, if there are with the Olympic qualifying events, we need to see where the Boulder World Cup will be scheduled, because if it's at the same time, I think it will be even worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's a risk of risking the value of the Boulder World Cup.
Yeah, well, it's a tricky year ahead, and there's lots of challenges for everyone, but certainly that's something. Now, I spent 3 and a bit weeks in sort of Asia at the beginning of the season. So it was Japan, Korea, then Jakarta. And by the end of it, I was definitely ready to go home. But for you guys, you are continuously on the road. I mean, like all these European stuff, how do you stay sane with a load of athletes, all that responsibility? Do you not go crazy?
Sometimes it's pretty hard, I have to admit, So Sunday morning I have a little bit free time, so I hope to escape somewhere.
This Sunday, okay.
Yes.
Do you plan ahead? Are you like, there's my morning off, I can go and do me?
Yeah, because, nowadays we have the man day, the women day, and so on. And so, because before it was like, okay, we have everybody at the same time, and then you have same kind of day off. But now it's always something on. Either this gender has a comp, or the other gender want to have a conditioning training for the next round or whatever, you know. So
Mhm.
you're constantly on, and this is pretty hard, especially now with Prague, Brixen, Innsbruck, Boulder, Innsbruck lead. This is pretty tough round.
Yeah, it is. It's tiring, and you have this strange role where it's not a paternal role. But you have to look after. You've got young athletes. You know, I was talking. You know, I know that other teams have this suddenly thing where they've got very young people coming in, and suddenly you're almost like a dad. You know, you have to make sure that they're in bed at night and eating the right food, and that's another stress that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
So
Especially because we are the biggest team.
yeah, you've got.
So more people can make more trouble. Yeah.
What's the worst thing logistically? Has anyone like forgotten a passport or not turned up?
In the past.
Yeah. Is there ever been a moment where you're like, oh my goodness, we can't
Yeah,
solve
of
this?
course, always.
What's the worst one? Can you tell me? Don't mention names.
Yeah, we had lost all the things like backpacks, passports.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course, in the past.
Oh my god, nightmare.
Olympic accreditation cards, whatever.
No way, really? Are you not? Yeah, I lose my accreditation a lot at venue, and it's always a problem. So I can't even imagine what it's like at Olympics.
Yeah, but for
so-
example, what was also hard, like in the COVID times,
Mhm.
because if you travel with a team like 20, 25 people, at each border we lost somebody due to some tests. That I'm pretty
Yeah.
happy that this season is this makes it a little bit more easy this
Well, just
season.
getting 25 athletes into a testing centre must have been a nightmare as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially because Japan had pretty rigid rules. So last year we had some people, they came back. Yeah, it was kind of funny situation. Some got caught at the airport, for example, in Zurich. The
Yeah.
other one, the next one was caught at the entrance of Japan.
Oh, no.
Which makes a huge difference because at that time in Switzerland you're free. In
Mhm.
Japan you sit in this, I don't know, 15, 20 square meter room for two
Oh, so they
weeks.
got tested, got on the plane, and then got retested, and they were positive in
Yes,
Japan.
and
so
Japan.
then they had to.
So we had a few people in Zurich and one in
No
Japan,
way.
and there. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I understand the pain.
Yeah.
Hugo, have we got any questions for Benny coming through yet? Or
Yes, we do. A good one is, how did he become the Japanese national trainer?
that is an excellent question. Benny, how did you become the role you are today?
yeah, I'm with the team already since 2008. So at that time I was studying in Vienna in Austria, and the team manager of the Japanese team at that time, he moved to Vienna, and we just met on a personal basis and climbing together. And at that time the World Cup was not such a big thing, and then he asked me if I can support the team for the European World Cups, and that was just how it started. And like I said, at that time just Akio, she got into finals. For the men we were not so successful, and then everything grew up, because at that time we were just traveling with one car through Europe. And the first victory of a man from the Japanese team was 2011 with Tsukuru Hori in Kenmore, and then it just started with Rei Sugimoto in Vienna, if I remember right, and Kogoro Fuji in Mumbai, I think. And then it was like pop, 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 and then it went off. And because at that time it was not planned or anything, and then I'm since 2016, and I'm the national coach for bouldering.
So do you live in Japan, or do you sort of commute back to Europe?
Yeah, I commute.
So
usually.
why on earth aren't you in a different team that isn't in Japan? Like, why Japan? Why did that have that draw for you to go and be the head coach?
Yeah, because it kind of started like this, and for me at that time we had the youth training camps, and people like Keita Doi, I know him since he's 11, or Tomoe was 13 or 14 when I saw him first time. And actually this was also because COVID times were pretty hard, because sometimes with European passport it was kind of impossible to go to Japan.
Oh yeah.
So it was a lot of like communication and video, and made it much more easy if you know the people since long time.
Okay. So you built up that
and,
relationship with the athletes,
Yeah.
and
So
that builds up.
yeah.
Okay. And your own climbing, you were saying you like pockets.
Yeah.
So do you have time to climb for yourself? Because like personally,
Not enough.
Yeah. Like I get strong over winter, and the season hits, and that's it. Like I'm in hotel rooms, I'm eating bad food.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep fit, isn't it, on the
Yes.
road?
Yeah.
So when do you have your time to climb? Where do you like climbing?
And for example, I really like Frankenjura because there are a lot of pockets and crimps.
Yeah.
And but in general, I really like bouldering. I'm not so much of the endurance type. I like more the shorter routes.
Good man.
But usually after the season finished, then I have some time in fall when the athletes also take a take the time off. So usually in fall, it's my time.
Okay. Any more questions, Hugo?
Yes. When will you begin training Akio and Tomo's daughter?
So Akio and Tomo have just had a daughter. Have you already?
Just from the general evolution, usually first the baby starts to crawl, then walk, and then climb.
Why?
So
Why
let's
don't we
keep
just
it like
change
that.
why don't we just change it? Just stick it straight on a climbing wall and don't let it crawl. Surely that's the way forward. But like, it's a fun question. But how young do you spot talent? Like, are there people who are 8? Like in football, for example, clubs will sign players when they're really young because they see something in them. Is there like a scouting program? And what do you look for?
Yeah, so in Japan there are a lot of competitions, just to name the North Face Cup, which is one of the biggest ones, and they also have youth categories. And if I'm right, the youngest one is started already with 6 years. 6 to 8, I think, is the youngest category. And because I've been asked this question several times before, because if you look at the Youth World Championships and you see some of the Youth B climbers from Japan and they climb a final with spotlight or something like that, they just climbed like it's normal. But you need to keep in mind that in the North Face Cup they climbed this since a very young age with DJ and music and light and whatever.
Yeah.
So they're already kind of used to it.
That's interesting. So the system sort of makes them what they are as well, because you see people when they make finals for the first time and there's all the lights, there's all the attention, and you can see them sometimes retreat into themselves because it's scary. But the Japanese athletes, they've done that a little bit already.
So that's the question. When do you get stressed? Usually when you're in a situation when you don't know what to do or what will happen. And if you have the experience before, then of course the stress level is a little bit lower, and that can help.
Well, Benny, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And like, I'm sure everyone watching at home as well, just, it's incredible what you've done with that team. And I think people have this idea that the Japanese team has loads of money and there's like, but everyone is struggling with stuff and it's hard.
Yeah, but everybody wants to complain. And just in when we had the World Cup in Hachioji afterwards, there was a meeting with different coaches and I gave a speech where I explained a little bit the rise of the Japanese team. Because nowadays, of course, we have so many small teams here. And also we started small. Like I said, in the beginning we were like one car traveling around and we had no money. The athletes needed to buy their own team uniform and everything, and we coaches got no money. And for us it started when Tomoa won the World Championship 2016 and climbing became Olympic, because then we got different funding from government. We started to work more professional on the media side. We got sponsors and so on, and everything kind of grew. And that was our way. So we were not like the rich federation from the beginning, because our federation is kind of not a rich one.
Yeah.
And like if you look now, what happened to Team Israel, for example?
Yeah.
Because I think you know the story of Alex Kasanov, because he was also the lonesome fighter on the World Cup.
Exactly, yeah.
Until he won, and then his miracle story started. And if you look now at Team Israel, it's still possible to start as a let's say poor and small team and create something.
Cool. Well, Benny, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Big round of applause, Benny. Everyone, thank you very much. Thank you, Benny. I'll see you soon. Good luck tonight as well. Now, we've got a very special guest. We've got 2 special guests lined up, but we've got to get Colin Duffy on first. So, Colin, come and join me on the couch. Here's a microphone. Big round of applause, Colin, please.
How'd you choose?
Hey, Colin, how you doing?
I'm good, Matt. Just psyched to be here, and qualifications day was very fun.
Yeah, we'll chat about that in a sec. But first of all, Innsbruck is such a special place for you, because last year 2 medals, gold in boulder and lead.
The last one of the season, and then that just kind of a dream scenario there, and was able to get the win in the boulders. And then I think that winning the boulders, that played into me like feeling confident in the lead as well. I felt like even if the lead went poorly, I already had kind of achieved a goal, and so I was able to really loosen up and just have a phenomenal lead comp and come away with the double, which was definitely not expected.
So special to watch it. It was crazy. So qualifying today, how did it go? How did you find it? And I don't actually even know where you are in the rankings, because it's been a crazy day. So where did you qualify?
So I'm in 13th, so 7th in the group, which I'm quite happy with. The last 2 comps I've been right on the bubble in 19th, so it was nice to have be safely into the next round. But it was a really tough round with battling the heat and like just the difficult boulders, and I was able to do the first 3 in my group, which group B, which were pretty powerful, where I've like found a lot of success this year, and then but the last 2 slab and kind of coordination boulders were a little rough, but luckily it was enough to get me through.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that. And if there's any questions, we haven't got Colin for very long, so you've got to type them quick if you have a question for Colin Duffy. Now, Colin, hard boulders. This is something that you hear from athletes all the time. They're like, we want hard boulders, we want to fight for them. For me, when I go climbing, I want easy boulders that I can do, but obviously different for you guys. Why do you like really difficult climbs generally?
I think I like having a hard round because it really makes you, you really have to earn getting to the next round. Sometimes it's always earned, of course. Like you have to just, you know, in the qualification be in the top 10 of your competitors. But I think having a harder round, you're able to really show like that you were better in that round, and like doing something really hard, powerful, or like a really technical slab that not too many people did is like, that's more satisfying, I think, than like flashing an easy boulder or like getting 4 or 5 tops in a like very chill round is like, so I mean, sometimes like you can be pretty close to not qualifying with 4 tops. So
yeah. And the field is so close at the moment. I mean, this year we see lots of different people in lots of different finals. The competition has really stepped up, hasn't it?
It has. I think the qualification round is the hardest round because there's so many, like the field of men and women this year, the field is really deep that can qualify to the next round is really like all the way down to maybe 40 people or even farther. And so, you know, it's battling like yourself, trying to like have not just like a good day but an exceptional day, and then there's a lot of people that might come later in the order that could surprise you. So getting through the qualifiers is never an easy challenge.
Yeah, it does seem like this year it's like if you get through, it's like people are almost celebrating, whereas in the past it was like, yeah, of course I'll make semis, whereas this year it's not a given. If you got any questions, just shout them at me, because others I'll...
Which World Cup set did you like the best so far?
Oh, which Boulder World Cup was your favourite?
I think for me it was Brixen. The venue there is like pretty phenomenal, like the vibes. It's not like the biggest crowd. Like Prague, there's, I think for the final maybe like almost 12,000 people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
It was like really, I loved Prague as well, but Brixen, that like amphitheater style venue is really cool, and like the announcers in the venue do a really great job. So it was my best result of the year. But last year when I did not make the semi, I was like pretty bummed because of how like well put on of an event it was. So it was nice to climb in the semi, and was the smallest of margins away from the finals. So it was a good performance.
Now, I had the chance to visit the TC, the training center in Salt Lake City, but you don't live in Salt Lake City, do you? You're outside of that. So how does that work in terms of the team dynamics? Because a lot of people in the USA team live in Salt Lake. Do you travel there to train sometimes? It must be a bit of a nightmare to balance life and travel and all that.
Yeah, so not living at the TC, I think like I still have a great relationship with everyone on the team, and like now I've been on the circuit for a few years, so I know them well through that. But yeah, I live in Colorado, so I'm very close, but also at the same time it's not very easy to make a quick trip out, like make a quick plane trip, or like make the 7 or 8 hour drive. So
yeah,
I've made a few trips to the TC. Like we did a team training camp before the bouldering season, and usually in the off season I try to make a trip or two there. But yeah, in Colorado I have a lot of great facilities to train at, and while it's not maybe as ideal as somewhere like the Clutter Zentrum or just being at the training center, it's I make the most of what I have, and it's able to get me in good shape for the season.
Clearly it's working, so don't worry about that. Any last questions for Colin before we say goodbye, or before I ask a question?
What does Colin value more as an athlete, longevity of career or medals, results?
All right, so Colin, do you want a long career, or would you prefer a short career with like 1 million wins in it?
I think longevity and like consistency is something I really strive for. Like this season for me in bouldering, like I haven't had up to this point, like last year, had a few like really standout moments with Meiringen and Innsbruck, where I was able to make the final, and then of course in Innsbruck get a win. But also during that season, I had like a few missed semifinals, like Brixen I was 41st, and so I was kind of inconsistent still, like finding my footing in bouldering. But this year started off with a bad go in Asia, but the last 4 comps I've made the semifinal, which before the season I had never made consecutive semifinals. So I'm very proud of that, and I think that on the whole this has been like my best season, even if like up to this point, of course climbing tomorrow in the semi, but haven't had a final yet. But I'm very proud of what I've been able to accomplish.
Well, it's amazing watching you. And my last question before we bring Cody the route setter on is, Black Diamond are about outdoor climbing as much as indoor climbing. How hard have you climbed outdoors, and have you got any projects or any goals for rock climbing?
So outdoors I haven't gotten on as many routes as I would like to. I think in Colorado I'm close to like rifles near me, but sometimes it's hard to find time to make the trip. But I've climbed 2 9As in southern Utah in the Hurricane, and on bouldering I've done a handful of V14 8B pluses, but also did a proposed 8C plus V16. That's it's a cave link up in Clear Creek Canyon that put up by Drew Wana, and so it's almost a sport climb. But
Yeah, and Drew's a beast, so if he's saying it's 8C plus, it
but
probably
yeah,
is.
it was, either way, that was definitely my hardest boulder that I've put together. So
Yeah.
but I look forward to in the Front Range. There's so many hard boulders, and I want to build up a strong V15 resume as well. I haven't really tried many of those, so that's for the winter when I have time. Definitely want to fill up my bouldering scorecard, and then of course and sometime in the next year or two I need to get to Sayus or Spain to get on some world-class sport climbing, because I have not tested my limit at all in that capacity.
Well, Spain, be scared, because you're going to crush that place. Colin, best of luck tomorrow for the men's. Where even are we? Men's semi-finals. Semi-finals, that's it. And good luck for the rest of the season. Thank you very much, Colin.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Colin. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Thanks, man. Right, our final guest, and we're probably going to run a little bit over, but I'm sure it'll be all right. We have a route setter with us, and Cody here shared the microphone during the Prague competition. You guys watching had a huge reaction to him, so big round of applause, please, for Cody. There we go. Woo. All right, Cody. Now, before we delve into this, let's get the politics out of the way. IFSC route setters, not route setters, it's all complicated. Are you here on the official capacity, or are you working separately? What's the deal in Innsbruck?
Yeah, no, you're just firing right away, huh?
I just nailed the inevitable question.
Yeah. No, for sure. So I'm probably not the best person to speak about, all the ins and outs of the specifics of IFSC route setting. I have had some experience. So for this particular event, I was invited by the chief route setter. Mm-hmm. We've worked together in the past at events, dating back over 7 years ago now. And so he invited me, and then the Austrian Federation approved this, and the IFSC approved this. So it's not like a completely formal position through the IFSC. However, basically an IFSC Bouldering World Cup, you get one chief route setter who's selected, and then 2 official route setters, and then the rest of the team is kind of compiled through the federations, and kind of it's a more collaborative process throughout. And so, yeah, there's definitely lots of gray areas, and it's pretty murky in some way, shape, and form for, I think, a lot of folks, myself included. Mm-hmm. But yeah, being provided this type of opportunity, I'm just so incredibly grateful. It's really, really, really special. And just so happy to be here.
Cool. Well, that's the politics out of the way. So now we can talk about the fun stuff. I know, exactly. First of all, I don't think people watching have any idea how hard you guys work, because it is insane. I mean, Owen's there as well. He works a lot. I work a lot. But you guys do different levels. I mean, you're there burning the midnight oil. You're up in the morning. So tell me about give it an overview of a normal route setting day at a World Cup.
Sure. So there's you could probably break it down into 2 parts. You'd have your route setting work week, so to speak, which would typically start on, let's say, Sunday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is all preparation for finals, semis, and then qualies. And then once the competition begins, then it's kind of that second type of work day. And so, yeah, the work week, Sunday through Thursday, basically it's usually a little more chill. You're maybe working 9 to 9 or something like that. You know, you're definitely putting in longer days, but you're route setting, you're forerunning, you're testing. It's a little maybe more similar to the traditional like commercial environment. I mean, there's like tons of differences for sure, but like, you know, a little bit more in line. But then when the competition actually begins, you know, we have our responsibilities to be here for the competition and making sure that we're not just looking at the results on paper, like we're actually watching the athletes perform, how they're performing, what they're doing, just really getting a feel for the environment. So we need to be here on site, not only for that, but also in case there's technical issues or anything like this going on. And then changeover, you know, we have changeover rounds. We take the you know, that round down, put up another round, and then based on the information that we've received from the previous round, we then make adjustments on the incoming round. So for example, qualies to semis or semis to finals. And that's when the work really starts to get pushed, because just due to the timelines of these things, it really ends up running late. So we might not start, you know, getting like semifinals on the wall in some instances, or finals on the wall, until 10 p.m., 11 p.m., really depending on a lot of things. And then we start testing, and then we start climbing, and that's when the you know, the nights
we're
get to
talking
be.
like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, it could be. Okay. And it depends on how the results are, you know, kind of how they fell and how much modification we might need to make.
Now, there's always a lot of chat online. Whenever, like, you basically can't win, okay? If the boulders are too hard, you get criticised for being too hard. If they're too easy, it's too easy.
Sure.
It's the margins of getting a competition right for, let's take a semi-final. You've got 20 athletes. You've got a range of abilities there. You don't necessarily know what form they're in. It might be hot, it might be rainy.
Sure.
How difficult is it just to get it right and have this balanced competition that people won't complain about?
Well, I think it's almost like, not to answer a question with a question, but like, what is a perfect round of competition?
Yeah.
So I could ask you that, right? I could ask any of these
Yeah,
folks
because
that.
I have a different opinion. Because I like tops, for
Right.
example. As a commentator,
Right.
if no one climbs anything, it's hard work for me. But
Yeah.
the athletes like struggling.
They want to push.
Yeah, they want to push. So
Yeah.
you're right. I have a different opinion.
Yeah, and then the IFSC maybe has a certain you know, expectation, because they know they're kind of selling this experience. They're selling this story, like watching these athletes perform in such a way that they're, you know, you're not bored out of your mind for the first, you know, 10 climbers or something like that, where they're just getting rocked, and then all of a sudden it's just like top or something like that. You know, they want this balance in the story. The route setters, you know, we might have feelings for things, what we're looking for. And in any case, there's just a lot of people who are have different expectations of what a perfect round might be. And so I don't think there's any world where everyone's going to be like fully satisfied.
Yeah.
It's just a gradient.
Okay. So when a boulder is broken or something, or when a boulder turns out to be too easy or too difficult, it's not like you should shrug your shoulders and go home and forget about it. Like the whole route setting team takes that pretty hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing that we do here, like, route setting is a passion for every single route setter that I've ever met, no matter if they're like a newer commercial route setter or they've been doing this for a very, very long time at a high level. We all care so incredibly much about what we do. And so, yeah, if something kind of like doesn't go quite to plan, then we think about it a lot. And it definitely, you kind of have to have the memory of a goldfish, especially if it's like, you know, in qualies or semis. Like if something happens that just doesn't quite meet the expectations, you kind of have to be like, okay, that wasn't great. We need to learn from this. And also we have to prepare now for the next round. So it's definitely a balance. But yeah, I've been on teams where, you know, something occurs and you're just like, man, how did we miss that? Or, you know, we got no tops on this, or everything got topped super quickly. What can we do better next time? And you're like, man, we spent so much time and effort. And we really want this to be the best possible experience for people. And we're certainly not doing this to be like, you know, get all kinds of money or fame or something. Like, you know, the pay isn't great, and, you know, no one really knows or cares who we are, but we love it, you know.
This is what I was going to bring up, because from the positive side, when a competition is amazing, I mean, the semi-finals last night, really cool end to that comp, you know, but when it goes right, you guys don't get no one's going like the route setting team like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. But what's that feeling when an athlete, when you watch a comp and you're like, it comes down to the wire, an athlete does something last minute, that must be the flip side. Like, you must feel incredible. Yeah,
it's a very like personal experience almost, because like, yeah, I don't know, or especially with the team, right? Like, you're creating this very like, I don't know, like creating these like formative moments with people, and we're having these like really deep connections throughout the work week. And so that's really nice when you see all these things come together and you have that moment just for a second where you're all just like, awesome, like it worked out, you know?
Yeah.
And then though, it's kind of like maybe topping out a boulder, like outside, or you clip the chains on something, you're like, cool, I had this moment. on to the next, you know?
Yeah.
It's, I think we're always chasing this. We're just chasing these like fleeting moments.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to throw some questions out in a minute, but we'll do this again because Cody has an Instagram, and I know you got bombarded with questions last time.
So many questions.
Thousands of questions. But just to grow your account, can you tell people where they can follow you at least?
Yeah, sure. So my Instagram is just at cgrodzki, so CGRODZKI. Just my name. And then, yeah, feel free to shoot me any questions anytime. And then I also run a small like consultation business for route setting, rock climbing, basically anything under the umbrella of climbing, and it's called Syndicate Route Setting. So at Syndicate Route Setting, check out our website, you know, shoot me questions, whether it's professional, personal, it doesn't matter. I manage both accounts. So it's a pretty small operation, but
Cheers,
yeah,
Cody.
thank you.
All right, well, one question we did get asked, and we're going to have to cut this fairly short because we're running out of time here, but the question was asked earlier was the question, which is grades. And you had a very good answer to this. So, first of all, we discussed with Fanny and Nika earlier that it's very difficult to put a grade on a climb like this. But as a route setter, just clarify that. Why can't we say that route was a 7B boulder or something?
I mean, you can. I just don't know how, like, climbing is already so subjective as it is. And it's so funny. We're actually just talking. I didn't know that you guys already talked about this. So me, Fanny, and Nika were talking about this just out there. Okay. It's just so subjective as it is, right? Like, you know, we go climb in your hometown and then you come climb, you know, my hometown, and we go climb here in Austria. We might all have a different idea of what a 7C is or something, or an 8A, or it doesn't matter what the grade is. That is subjective enough. And then when you start adding these, I mean, I guess we'll call them those like competition style movements, that's a little bit of a misnomer too, because I really strongly feel that you see most every movement style on real rock outside as well as inside. But, yeah, it's just, I think, it's just a really difficult question to answer, and I know that's like not a great way to go about it. But there are things that we do that aren't grades per se, but we do try to quantify things in some fashion. It's not just a qualitative conversation always, but a lot of times we'll talk about like number of tops. Number of zones, attempts to top, attempts to zone, like what is our prediction, what are we foreshadowing, and how might we need to adjust based on like what these predictions are, and determining these factors like push us forward. Another way we go about it is, and this is like maybe more arbitrary, is just like easy, medium, hard. And then the final one, and like for the route setters at home, maybe you're a little more familiar with this concept. It's called the RIC scale, RIC. Maybe you've heard of it.
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so I'll explain it really quickly. So RIC, risk, intensity, complexity. Risk is not danger. Risk is like what's the likelihood or unlikelihood of success or failure.
So standing on a no-tex, for
standing
example,
on a super subtle move like Boulder 4 last night, the slab for the women was like super high risk. But the really important factor is about who is this for, right? So like a boulder problem for Adamandra versus, you know, the local youth team kid, you can't rate them, you can't give them the same, you know what I mean? Like, so for the youth team kid, this might be a 5.55, you know, all the way across the board, whereas Adam, it might be a 1.11. I'm with you. So yeah, we'll talk about those numbers sometimes.
There we go. Hugo, any questions?
We've got one question. We've got loads of questions.
Yeah, I bet there are. There are always loads of questions about route settings. Yeah.
What do you think about using bolts, holes, screw holes, as Murray did yesterday? Do you think they should be banned, or should be allowed?
Okay, so for people who didn't hear the audio on that one, there's bolt holds, there's screw holds. Sometimes you can. What's the rules? Just tell us the basic rules first.
All right, let me see if I can get it all right here.
Yeah,
okay,
because I'm asking you because I can't remember.
So bolt holes in holds are on.
Okay, so you can put a thumb in one, for example.
Thumb, finger, you can mono it. You've seen that happen before. Screw holes in like wood volumes or fiberglass or holds or anything. Screw holes are on. Bolt holes in volumes like T-nuts themselves are off, and T-nut holes in the walls are off.
Okay.
So it can get a little complex and a little bit tricky.
So yesterday, Murray did the spin, which was just disgusting. She had a finger in. I think she brought a thumb, and it was almost like she was like pinching a mono and then chalking up and having a look.
Yeah.
Like, because the climbers seem to be doing this more and more. Like Brooke famously kind of did it first of all by standing in it in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
But like, what are you going to do in the future?
Yeah.
But you can because they're going to be training on these things.
Yeah, I mean maybe some of the manufacturers now are actually getting better about making like the beveled edges a little bit more true to like the screw itself. I think Rock City actually is doing a really good job about that right now. Just for example, but what's my personal opinion on it? I'm like, you know, ideally we're setting things in such a way that that's the least effective method of climbing, that maybe we're like, you know, encouraging another method. That's the ideal scenario. I don't know if there's a world where like any of us can like possibly test every single like realm of possibility, right? Like climbing in that fashion, we have like a really diverse team of sizes, of genders, of, you know, just all the things, but like we're not every athlete's, you know, the way that they're going to perceive things. So anyways, the point is that I think that it's fine. Like the climbers expressing themselves in a way on the wall that like they have a job to do, right? Their job is to get to the top by any means necessary. They know the rules, they understand the rules, and they're going to do what they can do to achieve victory. And so if it happens, I mean, ideally we can find ways to avoid it. And we spend a lot of time trying to make sure that this doesn't happen. So don't interpret this as me just being like, whatever, it's just gonna happen. So we do actually.
But there are holes all over the wall. Like that's the realism of it. We're not gonna like putty fill whatever it is.
We do. Oh no, I mean, we do. Yeah, okay. I know for sure. We like backfill wood volumes and like we do. Like there's all kinds of tricks that for sure we use. But like sometimes there's just like a reasonable amount of things that you can do or can't do. Like for anyone familiar with like these really big squadra shapes, they're called the Frutti di Bosco, and they're these massive volumes, and they have like 300 screws just like littering it because they're so big and heavy, and you can stack them, for example. I mean, you're talking about 50 plus screws on one single volume that might be used for, let's just say, for example, one handhold on the wall. If you were, I mean, you need a whole crew, like a pit crew of just like spackling like the, you know. So anyways.
That's good. All right, let's have one last question, Hugo. Is there a question for Cody? And then we will wrap it up.
Yes. Okay, so there's quite a lot.
Yeah, there's tons of. I know you guys really want to know. So remember Cody's Instagram. He gave it to you earlier. Go onto that. Follow him. He's good at answering questions because there are probably too many to answer right now.
Okay,
yes.
Michael Higgins says, "What level does Cody climb at, and what types of moves does he enjoy setting the most?"
Okay, so
goodness.
So what? Sorry. What? Yeah.
What level do I climb at, and what moves do I like the most? I don't know. I just rock climb. I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean,
you climb pretty hard.
I climb enough to just do what I love to do, which is route set. I know that's like a super mega cop-out answer,
no,
but
it's
like,
fine. I wouldn't want to give an answer either.
Sorry, Mike.
Stop the answer. But what's your favourite style? Are you into slabs, into compressions, into like crimps? What's your thing?
I mean, I really enjoy, like I've been on a kick recently of like really enjoying like lots of technical things, like really like hyper technical sequences and like lots of body position dependent movements. But a lot of times people will think like you're talking about more slow static body position movements. I also enjoy like the more dynamic style too. So you're seeing a lot of like swings and stuff, and people might think like, oh, it's just like some campus parkour trick or whatever. But like there's so much going on in time and space that you have to execute and coordinate appropriately to like do a movement. And that's really interesting and intriguing to me because it's asking the athletes a lot of questions like really fast. So that's really fun. And then sometimes, I don't know, I spent so much time climbing in the southeast of the US, so the Chattanooga area, Alabama, Northwest Georgia. So I really, really enjoy sandstone. That's super. Like for anyone who hasn't been to that area, it's more or less like a mini font. So I just enjoy that style for sure as well. Like lots of slopers and compression. I mean, that's a lot of fun always.
Well, listen, thank you for continuing to do what you do. And like Cody is obviously part of a big route setting team here. So just big thank you to the team as a whole, as well as yourself personally. Okay, I think we're going to call it a day there. Thank you for joining us on this live show. Tomorrow we'll be back in the morning because we have a small matter of a semi-final and a final happening during the day. So around about 10-ish, 11, we'll put a social media post up about when that's going to happen. More guests as usual. Do check out the EpicTV Shop. We're in the Black Diamond showroom. There's loads of lovely gear hanging around, and if you want to get your hands on some, we'll visit our shop and we'll sell it to you. That's it, I think. Thank you, Cody. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Woo!